Hi, 7th graders. This is our last video for the year. We're doing writing expressions today. So think back to elementary grades and all the different names that we used for adding, subtracting, multiplying, and division. We're going to need those for today's lesson. I've got a list here of some of the key words, that's what we call them, when we think of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So when we see these words in a problem, we know the symbol that coincides with it is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So what do I mean with it? Well, let's get right into our problems here. Okay, so I need to write a numerical expression for each word phrase. So here, number one, I've got a word phrase, the quotient of 14 and 8. Now remember, numerical expressions means that there are no variables to it, okay? So we have the keyword quotient, so we're going to be talking about division. And when we deal with division and subtraction, we have to be very careful of the order that we put numbers in, that it matches with what our word phrase says. So the problem says the quotient of 14 and 8. How do I know which one goes first? Well, it's the order that it's given to us here. So 14 is going to be given first, so 14 divided by 8, and I would write out my problem. Either this way, this is the way you're used to doing it in elementary school, this is the way we're moving towards for algebra, so either way is fine. Okay, let's look at our next word phrase. We have 8 increased by 30. Well, what does increase mean? It means we're doing addition. So we're going to simply write 8 plus 30. Okay, so word phrases, turning them into numerical expressions is not that bad. We just have to follow what the words say. Okay, here's our next one. 25 less than 14. Okay, so less than means we're doing subtraction. Now this is what I mean by we have to be very careful with subtraction. Do I want to go 20, oops, help if I wrote 25. 25 subtract 14. Or do I want to do 14 subtract 25? Okay, we've got our numbers, we've got subtraction. What does it mean? Well, let's go back to our word phrase. Our word phrase says 25 less than 14. Well, we wrote 14 away from 25. That's not what they're asking for. They want 25 less than 14. So this right here is my correct answer. So we've got to be careful with how we write our numbers out. Okay, let's do this last problem here. It says 20 times negative 4. Okay, what does times mean? Times means multiplication. So I'm simply going to go 20 times, and it says a negative 4. Remember, when doing our homework assignments, we always tend to put negative 4 together in parentheses. If you forget to do that, no problem. 20 times negative 4 is perfectly fine too. Okay, so that's kind of getting us warmed up a little bit to things. Let's go ahead and let's talk about some bigger things here, okay? So a word phrase, we can also include variables with it, okay? Remember, a variable can be multiplied by a number, okay? Now, in algebra, we always put the number in front of the variable when we do that. It's just keeping it organized, and it is the standard way of writing things. So what do I mean? Well, let's look at the word phrase. 7 times a number, okay? We're going to put that 7 right in front of the variable. And remember, when they're side by side with no numbers in front, that means multiplication. So 7 times a number can be shortened down and written simply as 7x or 7n or whatever variable you choose. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at some algebra problems here, some algebraic expressions. I've got 2 of them right here that you can see. I got negative 38 minus k. Okay, what does minus mean? It means subtraction. So negative 38 minus k. We have to watch the order. And, oops, sorry about that. We're going to write negative 38 and simply what it tells me here, minus k. Okay, look at example number 2 here. Number 2 says a number subtracted from 17. Okay, subtracted means I got a subtraction problem. Okay, we have to watch. What is the order? A number subtracted from 17. Okay, so this number that we don't know, let's go ahead and call it n, needs to be subtracted from 17. So 17 needs to go in front. Even though it was the last thing in my phrase, we've got to watch what my word phrase says. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and let's look at this next problem over here. Okay, it says the quotient of y and 15. Quotient means division. Okay, so I'm going to do my division sign like that. And remember, the way they give us the order of numbers tells me which one goes in front and which one goes below. Okay, look over here to this one. The product of 19 and a number. Okay, product means multiplication. And we have a variable and a number that we're multiplying together. So we're going to go simply 19 times n. Okay? Okay, so we're taking it baby step by baby step. Now we're going to go ahead and increase some more here, okay? And so here we have the rest of our problems. And what happens when I have multiple parts to an algebraic expression? A lot of times we're given a comma. Okay, that comma in a word phrase means that what comes before the comma has to be done first. Okay, that's just a nice little helpful hint to us. Okay, and then we have to read the words carefully because we've got to think about order of operations here. So let's go ahead and get right into the problems here. And so the first problem I have is x multiplied by 7, comma, decreased by 9. Okay, so let's deal with this first part here. X multiplied by 7. Some of you want to simply go x7. Remember, with how we need to arrange things, we need to put our number first. So I'm going to go 7x. Okay, so I just took care of my first part, x multiplied by 7. And then I go on to decreased by 9. Decreased by 9 means I need to subtract, and I subtract the 9. Okay, and we matched up to our notes there. Good. Now, check out this one. I have 1/3 of a number. Okay, 1/3 of a number. 1/3 means, okay, maybe I'm doing multiplication here, remember? And then comma minus 2. So 1/3 of a number, like I said, was multiplication. I can take the fraction 1/3 and times it by a number, and I get 1/3 of a number. And then after my comma says subtract 2. Okay, we're almost done here. We've got 2 more examples here. So let's go ahead and see. Let's tackle number 3. Number 3 says 4 added to the product of a number and 5. Okay, I see no commas. So let's take this piece by piece here. 4 added to the product. Okay, so I need to add 4 to something. Okay, so plus 4. What am I adding this to? I'm adding it to the product of a number. So product means multiplication. And what am I multiplying? A number and 5. So remember, my 5 has to go in front of my variable. And 5n plus 4 is what that word phrase means. Okay. Then we've got one last thing here. Okay. We have 2 more than a number times -5. Okay, so the thing we have to remember is we can do distributive property, okay, when we have to create word phrases and numerical phrases. So that's what's going on here. 2 more than a number. So here is my number. Okay, there is my number. I have to add 2 to it. But then the last thing says this whole thing, 2 more than a number, is times a -5. So this whole entire thing has to be multiplied by a -5. Okay, that is what our lesson is dealing with today. You've got to be very careful. Read the word phrases carefully. and then attach your numerical numbers and your symbols to what that phrase says. Okay, think it through. If you got any questions, text or email me. Enjoy your last lesson of the year.